And good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. We've got a great show lined up for you today as we will take a look back at the 7-on-7 Griffith and Rip It tournament that the HAN was covering live from New Canaan High School last week, as well as we will do a preview of our end-of-week coverage from Cubetta Stanford and Stadium, where we look at the 13U Babe Ruth State Championships, as we will have the semifinal doubleheader on Thursday night and championship game on Friday night. But I'm very excited, before we get to all of that, to welcome a guest to the show. He is the former quarterback of Massac and the University of Connecticut. He was recently published on the Players Tribune, and that's Mr. Casey Cochran. Casey, how are you doing today?
Things are great, thanks. Thanks for having me, Frank.
Well, thanks for taking time with us. I want to start by, Casey, asking, how did you come to publish that article on the Players Tribune?
Well, it's kind of a crazy little story. So I was, one day I was kind of just sitting there. My mom sent me a link to an article, and they were posting pictures on the Players Tribune. And there was one of me playing at SMU, and I had never heard about the Players Tribune before. And pretty quickly on, I fell in love with the site. If none of you have ever been on, you should go check it out. Basically, there are some staff writers, but mainly, the contributors to it are athletes. Kevin Durant posted that he was going to the Warriors on that site, and there's stories about addiction and concussions and just plenty of stuff. But they're all from the athlete's point of view, which I truly love. So, maybe within a couple weeks after or being known to the site, I emailed in and asked to write a piece, and not too long after I got a response from them, and they said yeah. So, it's probably like a 4 to 5 month process of hearing back from them and writing, but it's been an unbelievable process.
And it was very powerful writing, and you're right. If you haven't checked out the site yet, it's Derek Jeter's website, theplayerstribune.com. Your article, 13 Concussions, in a time where the state of football is very fragile with how concussions are being handled, how tough was it to publish an article like that out on that type of website?
For me personally, it wasn't too difficult because I've been wanting to tell the story for a long time. When you're in football, especially in the time when I was playing, there weren't many people talking about concussions and their lasting effects. There was some news about what Dr. Amalu was publishing, and the deaths of Junior Seau and other NFL players, but there hasn't been too much spoken about what is day to day like after concussions, after sports, and I was eager to get that part of the story out. So it wasn't difficult for me to get those things on paper because sometimes I think it's difficult for people to try to admit that they are going through trouble, but I knew all along that if I shared that story, then it may help a 12-year-old somewhere. It may help I've gotten emails from 30-year-olds who have been struggling with post-concussion syndrome, and I think from a while back I knew that it could help people, and I was just eager to get it out.
And Casey, you make a really good point how it was different when you were playing, and you're only 2 years removed now. Between the ages of 11 and 20, you suffered 13 concussions during your playing career. Can you remember what it was like getting that first concussion?
I do. Yeah, I was playing youth football in West Hartford, and I had started football when I was 7, and I had never had any experience with concussions up till when I was 11. I remember kind of playing defensive line. I broke through the line, and it was me and the running back, head on, and I was gonna try to knock him back and get my whole team fired up. And I remember we met helmet to helmet, and both of us fell back onto our backs, and I had blacked out. And when I came to, it was nothing like nothing I had ever experienced in my life up to that point. My head had so much pressure and a headache, and I was very emotional, and it's kind of like like being born, coming out of the womb. You're like, what in the world's going on right now? And it was such an experience to try to overcome, and then you start to try to come to your senses, and realize that you're playing football, you still have all your pads on, and I immediately ran right off the field, right to my dad, and we kind of came to the consensus that it was a concussion, and I think that was the first time I had ever really heard the word or really thought about it. Up to that point, and that was 2005. No one was talking about it much at all. It was just a funny thing. You either got a ding to the head or you got your bell rung, but that was a scary experience for me.
And once again, we are talking with Casey Cochran. His article, 13 Concussions, was just posted on the Players Tribune last week. Casey, as you played at at 3 of the major levels that most athletes get to experience, not many get to experience D1, did you find there was a difference in suffering that first concussion at 11 compared to taking one at the D1 level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that people realize when you go from level to level is the speed and the physicality. People are moving at much faster rates, and people are moving with a lot more mass behind them. So, the type of hits that you take, the biggest hit that you take in high school is probably an intermediate hit that you would take in college, just because of the sheer size of the defensive linemen and the linebackers and safeties. Everyone on the defense is a physical machine who can hit like nothing you ever felt before. So some of those hits are basically car accidents. I had whiplash. My neck is still in spasm from my last hit. It's that level of violence is crazy, and not many people get to experience that. It's tough to. You got to be a crazy person to sit back there as a college quarterback and take these kind of hits. So I guess I am a little crazy in that fashion.
And it's a special breed of human to also just play the game of football in general, and for you to make it that far, especially through those kinds of injuries, it really is a credit to your effort and guts to get that far. Of the 11, Casey, whether it was your last one you suffered at UConn, that first one in youth, was there one, though, that stood out the most that you still kind of think, how did I get up after that one?
Yeah, I one of the ones that always stick out to me is it was Thanksgiving against Newtown when I was playing at Massac. This was back in 2010. We were both undefeated, and after one of the plays, I kind of trying to run for the first down. I fell down, and one of their players basically took my helmet off. And I was unconscious for probably 8 seconds or so. When I came to, I thought it had only been 2 or 3 seconds that I was out, but it had been much longer. But that one specifically, being knocked out completely cold, was probably one of the biggest hits I had taken to the head. And I think that one stands out to me because there's nothing like being knocked out cold. Most concussions that I had were minor to intermediate, where you do black out for some time, but you do recover quickly, and you are able to kind of know where you are. But being out cold was an out of body experience, and when I came to, it was there was a lot of confusion on my part.
Casey, you're sitting here now, 13 concussions later. What's life like for you? Is it tough dealing with the everyday symptoms?
Yeah, I don't struggle with headaches and migraines and those type of symptoms as much as mental health issues. So, I have anxiety, depression, and PTSD. So it's, getting up every day and just trying to get up and go and function. What depression does is it kind of brings you into this dark hole that's really hard to get out of sometimes. You forget that you have supportive family and friends. You forget that, your life circumstances are really well off. So it takes some effort to just get up and go every day. And those are the things that I struggle with on the day to day. And where other people have a lot of problem with dizziness, or, some people get vertigo, some people get confusion, and so the mental health aspects are the things that I struggle with on the day to day, and I work through them, and I go see a host of different doctors and therapists. And, it's all about finding the right, mix of what helps you, and I've been on that path for probably 4 or 5 years now, trying to get that under control, and and for the most part, I've been doing well with it. But there are some tough days. There are days where, I wish that, they weren't as hard as they are. But in general, like I said in the piece, it's imperative to stay positive, and that's for someone who's going through depression and anxiety or not. It's having a positive outlook on life is key.
And that's a really good point, and you allude to the different symptoms and different types of people and different concussions, and that's something that I do want to get into. We're going to take a quick break, though. Casey's going to stay with us, and we'll get back into talking about this and much more about concussions in football right here on the HAN Network after this.
For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning.
Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. My property taxes on my single-family home were close to $20,000 a year. Now that I've downsized and I'm in a townhome, and because of the condo tax laws, my fees have gone from $20,000 down to about $5,300 with the star exemption. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
And welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I'm Frank Granito, and I am joined on the phone by Casey Cochran. Casey's article, 13 Concussions, was posted on the Players Tribune last week. If you haven't read it yet, definitely check it out. Casey, I want to transition now. Last year in the spring, you spoke at the Capitol about a bill requiring parents and coaches to be more informed about the dangers of concussions. What was that experience like for you, and do you think it was a successful trip with where we are in today with the game?
I do. So that was my first ever touch or experience with advocacy work, and I had when I announced my retirement, it became a national story, and I got talked about by a lot of people. But that was the first time I ever got to explain how many concussions I ever had, and try to make a real difference. So I got to go up and speak on behalf of a bill, which basically all it was that every youth coach in Connecticut now needs to provide a free link to the CDC website where they define what concussions are. It's bare bones of what we can do to start informing parents, and I would like to start to make more steps towards youth concussion bills in Connecticut specifically, but it was a great first step, and for me it was awesome to get up in front of the media in Connecticut, and specifically the legislators, and explain what's the day-to-day like for someone with concussions, with post-concussive syndrome as well. So it was kind of love at first sight for me. As soon as I got to get up and share my story, it felt amazing to get it out and to share with people and know that I was making a difference. So that really started me on the path of where I am now, and really got the ball rolling for the article that I wrote.
And you bring up a really good point, Casey, because so many times people think that it's only the NFL players or at the high D1 levels or even high school, but you forget that the youth football level is where you're almost most susceptible to suffering concussion, and if the kids aren't taught properly how to tackle, they're extremely vulnerable for concussions.
Yeah, exactly. So last year in America, there were 6 million youth football players. There are only a fraction, maybe 1% of high school players that play in college, and then only 1% of them play in the NFL. So, the girth and the overall population of players that can get injured and do get injured are in youth football. So that's where the efforts really need to lie. And people really need to realize that at that age, at young ages in elementary school and middle school, these kids are not developed physically, and they struggle with absorbing those hits, even though they aren't at the same rates. It's because of their size, because of their neck strength. These hits that they take are devastating, and specifically with the mental part of it too. We understand as a society how difficult it is to kind of come to grips with the world when you're growing up. You're trying to figure out the world around you. You're trying to, make out what life is. So when you do take those type of hits to the head, it can be really hard growing up, just based on, your mental process. So, I think the efforts really need to lie in youth sports, and hopefully the decisions on the top can start to filter down and really start to help kids who are struggling.
Now, Casey, football is one of those beautiful sports where it's a team effort. There's 11 guys all counting on each other. You, when you played, suffered a little bit from the guilt of knowing you had a concussion but not wanting to let your teammates down. If you were to tell kids today who had that same feeling, how would you approach this with them?
I would try to tell them and explain to them that, hey, it's just a game, and at some point this game's going to end. I got so wrapped up in thinking that, hey, we need to go win the state championship. We need to go and win every game and, be great and be a great teammate. But, what I want kids to realize is that you can be a great teammate by admitting that you do have an injury, specifically with concussion. Based on what we know now, we know that a lot of kids are struggling and they want to be able to talk about it, but a lot of them feel like they can't. So, what I want kids to know is, hey, don't hide it, talk about it, and you can be a great teammate by being there for your other teammates. You can say, hey, I know you got hit on that last play. Let's talk about it. Are you okay? And if you're not, let's get you some help. Let's talk to our coach. Let's talk to our trainer. We need to be able to have clear lines of communications between players, between coaches and parents and the medical staff. So, that's really where it starts is with the players. Hey, don't hide it. You don't have to be on the field right now. But specifically in elementary school and middle school is, the level of play or the way we treat, younger athletes today is, it's more serious than ever. We have these stories of kids getting offers in 8th grade. We have parents who are traveling around the country with their kids in middle school, and we need to realize that they're 12 or 13 years old. They're still trying to figure out what they're going to do in high school, how they're going to be able to get around with classes. We need to realize that youth sports should be there to keep our kids happy, healthy, and slowly learn work ethic and hard work and perseverance. But the thought that they need to be winners at 12, 13 years old, sometimes that gets carried over the top.
And it's a really good point. And Casey, we know you're working on a book, and we look forward to seeing that come out. But in the near future, next week, I understand you'll be down in Alabama joining a speaking tour. Can you explain to us a little bit what you'll be doing down there and who you'll be talking to?
Yeah, absolutely. So a company that I'm joining down there is called Practice Like the Pros. What we're going to be doing is talking to high school coaches and talking about how full contact practice should really be limited in the off season and during the season. A big majority of time spent in pads right now is during practice, and a lot of the injuries happen in practice. So we want to be able to let coaches know that, hey, here are some techniques that you can use during practice so that we can practice without pads on, limit the injuries, and have, more playing time for these kids, more healthy playing time. So I'll be able to go down there, talk about my experience, talk about what I've gone through, and hopefully make some good difference down there in Alabama.
Well, Casey, I want to thank you for coming on. We wish you the best of luck on your tour next week. We wish you the best of luck with the book, and we hope that we get to speak to you again soon. So thank you again.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Frank.
Of course. Once again, that was Casey Cochran. His article, 13 Concussions, can be found on Derek Jeter's website, thePlayersTribune.com. We'll take another break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we return, we've got highlights from the Grip It and Rip It tournament this past weekend at New Canaan, and we take a look ahead to our weekend coverage of the Babe Ruth State Tournament at Kubetta Stadium.
Keep your future star active and happy this summer at Future Stars Sports Academy camps and clinics. The Academy is offering sessions throughout Fairfield County. Sign up for a week of basketball, cheerleading, football, or a multi-sports camp. At Future Stars Academy, children learn the fundamentals while under the supervision of qualified coaches. And what sets the Academy apart is its special Lessons of Life sessions, teaching values and focusing on building self-esteem, friendships, and honesty. Located at Sports Center Connecticut in Shelton and in Sports in Trumbull. Register online at FutureStarsSportsAcademy.com.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
And welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito coming to you live today. I want to thank Casey Cochran again for joining us on the show. One more time, his article can be found on the Players Tribune. That's 13 Concussions. Now, in case you missed it, over the weekend, the HAN Network was live at New Canaan High School as they had coverage of the 9th annual 7-on-7 Grip It and Rip It passing tournament. 32 teams, including one all the way down from Canada, made their way to New Canaan for round-robin tournament play on Friday, followed with a double elimination playoff on Saturday. The Cheshire Academy football team won the tournament, defeating the Brunswick School 30-24 in overtime of the championship game on Saturday. And for more highlights on that, let's take a look right now. And good afternoon and welcome back to the National Select Rip It and Rip It 7-on-7 passing tournament here from the campus of New Canaan High School. Frank Granito and John Kovach coming to you live as we are looking at some of the morning highlights.
It's not just that you're getting stopped. You're getting stopped and you're giving them points.
And so here we go. 4th down, shot over the middle, wide open there on the post again. And so now the decision comes, do you go 1 and try to tie it, or is it 2 and you want the lead? So 4th down, trips to the right in the boundary. They look to the post on the backside, goes up top with it, tipped. Oh my gosh, what a catch.
What a play by that Cheshire Academy defender who gets a hand on it. It was going to be an incompletion for the stop. Instead, it becomes a three-point interception.
Look, Mom, one hand. This is where you need the quarterback draw.
Seriously.
Rolling out to the left, looking for one, can't find it, pauses, throws back. Nice job settling down. He is supposed to be walking that end line, stops on a dime, and beautifully laid up to him. Ace formation, tight split on the left. They cross underneath. Now they come back again. It's a mesh route coming all the way across. Tight end with it. Can he get enough? No, he will not. He is down at the 17-yard line. 40 seconds on the clock. Darien trails by 1 after the change of possession.
And Darien had its offense on the field behind the 40, ready to just step forward and get in this spread set.
Clock now under 30. Drops back. Ace left. They pump the out, looking for help. Now he throws to the left side. Sails one over the head. It's intercepted, and that will do it for Darien and as well as the FCX teams today.
One shot here.
Rolling out to the right. There's 2 out routes there. They used the second one. Unfortunately, there's another choke player in the window, so it is up to 12, and everything is sputtering out of control right now for the Bears. Working at the goal line, and it's a levels route. You need one player 2 yards short of the end zone. Oh, and a beautiful pump fake, biting on the screen all the way, and Brunswick quick to answer with a fox route.
First we've seen motion all day.
And it sets up a shallow route. Look for the digger cross right behind it. There's a second one, and jumping and reading it all the way. A great play, the second interception we've seen from that young man. But he knew they wanted the tight end. They let the shallow go as you're supposed to. Linebackers pick up the first crosser, jump over the second route on the deep one. Left, and they get an outside release down low. One cross over the middle. Here comes the dig route going upward. Nice catch at the 10-yard line. Going up down the middle, going up to get it. Tipped by one man, incomplete, 2-1, and that will do it for our second semifinal. So a crazy swing of events after Choate jumps out to a 12-0 lead.
A couple hours established themselves as very solid.
And they've got a chance here. Man open downfield looking for him. Drops it into the breadbasket and completing for the touchdown. It only takes one play, and now it is 16-6. So 4th down and 20. They'll fake a bubble, looking to work the streak on the outside. Now he's got to just throw it up down the middle. Jump ball situation. Going up to climb the ladder, and he makes the catch. 6 points on the board.
That is such a huge catch. Being interfered with, I'll say.
So all zeros on the scoreboard. It's one play to win it, or we will play overtime. Looks to his right. Man jammed up originally. He's got space to the corner. Throws back to the left side. Nowhere to be found is a receiver, as this one ends up in the dirt. And so we will play overtime here in the championship game.
Bottom of the numbers.
One route there. They want to try to go to the back of the end zone. Going up for it, coming down with it. Touchdown made. Cheshire Academy has won the 2016 Grip It and Rip It tournament. So really some great footage there and an exciting weekend to be a part of. A special thanks to Eric Gendron, Josh Fisher, Marty Hersom, and John Kovach for all their hard work this weekend. And a special thank you again to Johnny Marinelli and Chris Silvestri. Just truly a first-class event that they put up, and very lucky that they allowed us to be a part of it and bring it to you live. As we look ahead towards the end of the week, the HAN Network will be covering the Connecticut 13U Babe Ruth State Tournament as they head into doubleheader play, or excuse me, a semifinal doubleheader Thursday night at Kubetta Stadium in Stamford. Opening round play began on Friday. Each of the 8 teams has already played 2 of their 3 round-robin games. They will finish up over the next 2 days. In case you were wondering, the bracket standings right now sit for bracket number 1. Stamford at 2-0, Trumbull 1-1, Waterford 1-1, Simsbury 0-2. In bracket number 2, it's New Milford at 2-0, Amity at 1-1, Darien at 1-1, and North Haven at 0-2. Excuse me. Tonight's game featured Trumbull versus Simsbury at 5:30 and Stamford versus Waterford at 8 o'clock. Again, the HAN Network will be live at Kubetta 5:30 for the first pitch of our semifinal doubleheader on Thursday night. Thanks again to Casey Cochran. That's going to do it all for today's episode of Nutmeg Sports. Don't forget to come back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock and coffee break at 11 a.m. with Kate Czaplinski. I'm Frank Granito. Have a good afternoon.